Welcome back to Ferris Sports Update for our final segment here of the 2020-2021 athletic season. We'll wrap up the year that was here in Bulldog Athletics. And with us, longtime broadcaster, Director of News Services here at Ferris State, Sandy Gholston. Sandy, welcome to the show.
It's a pleasure to be here. Hard to believe we're coming toward the end of the year, but this is where we are.
Before we get into some of the highlights, obviously it's been a crazy year, but as the whole campus has, the athletic department has had to deal with the COVID-19 pandemic, and certainly a lot of credit to a lot of people that have helped make this past year possible.
Yeah, without a doubt. When you think about where we've been over the past 13 months or so since this really got going, it's really been a test for a lot of people across campus, across the state, across the country, and we've all had to adapt in our own different ways, and we've had to give a little, we've had to take a little to make it work, and I think athletics is a great example of that. We've had a lot of people that really came together to try to make sure our student athletes had as much of a college athletic experience, a traditional college athletic experience as possible, and so everything wasn't ideal, but a lot of things did happen as we got the safety measures in place, and the athletes understood what they needed to do to be able to compete. I think some of the competition started to take shape, and we started to have some great performances.
Obviously, speaking of those great performances, got to start with this past weekend. An incredible performance by a number of different teams. We just talked with Bulldog soccer, but big shout out to the men's and women's tennis teams, and also the men's golf team. All won GLIAC championships this past weekend.
Yeah, it's been great. You were at the soccer game that we had this past weekend at home, and that was another great performance by Coach Henson and his team. And then you look at men's and women's tennis; they've been really strong all year long, and we've got golf as well. And I think that was a great performance in particular with golf, and Grand Valley is obviously very good in men's golf, and our men's team really had just a superb performance to be able to pull off a GLIAC championship. So it's really great to see those three teams come away with GLIAC championships, and I think Bulldog Nation was really proud of the efforts of those three teams in particular.
Really one in particular, the women's tennis team, first conference championship since 2002. This program with a storied success, but a long time waiting here for this conference championship.
Yeah, I think when you look at that gap in terms of conference championships, I think it makes it that much sweeter because it is a program with great tradition. And I first started covering tennis a long time ago, back in the mid-1990s, and they were really great back then. And some other programs have really come up to challenge the Bulldogs on the women's and men's side, but especially on the women's side, and to see them be able to get that program back up to the high level of the GLIAC. When you compete in tennis at the high level of the GLIAC, that's going to put you as one of the better teams in the region and the nation.
As we look back at this past year, obviously we had very little competition in the fall, none until the latter part of November when Bulldog hockey and then men's and women's basketball really started to take shape in late December. And it was a long time waiting, but since then we've been able to get a ton of different events in here over the course of the spring.
Yeah, you're right. It was really a long wait, and we were on the bus and we talked about that with the NCAA regional tournament back last spring, and we didn't know what was going to take place in the fall. But as we had limited competition, we have basketball up on the screen right now, and that was kind of where you and I really got going with basketball toward the end of the calendar year and in the beginning of 2021, and then of course hockey got going late in 2020. And so it was really great to see those teams really get it started, and to see them get in competition, to see how safely it can be done, and that set the stage for other teams in the spring season to really get going.
Very unusual in terms of the spring season. We had some fall teams, women's soccer and volleyball namely, that competed here in the spring.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know how comfortable you ever get with that. It was just weird to see volleyball not only playing in the spring, but also they were playing in Wink Arena, a couple of matches in Wink Arena. And so that was kind of different too. And then seeing soccer compete, and they've competed well. And so that's been a great thing to see that those student athletes really had an opportunity to compete this spring.
Really a testament to the work that's been put in. We've mentioned it over the course of the year, the administration, the facility staff, and especially the medical teams that have helped make this happen.
Yeah, from top to bottom. It's just been a commitment. Not only that, but the WCHA, the GLIAC, the presidents of the other member institutions, they really came together to really make this possible. And as you mentioned it, right down to our athletic training staff, our facility staff, they really did a great job of helping get our student athletes in the best, safest position possible to be able to compete.
There were a lot of knowns coming into the year, but we had a chance to go to the GLIAC men's basketball tournament. I was at the GLIAC volleyball tournament, and really exciting to see the student athletes still have an opportunity to compete for championships.
Yeah, I think as happy as they were to be able to have a chance to go out. I mean, ultimately, at the end of the line, you really want to have an opportunity to compete for a championship. And whether it's an NCAA championship or a GLIAC championship, that means a lot to our student athletes. It's kind of the final exam, if you will, of their seasons and for some of them of their careers. And so it was great to be able to see that high-level competition take place.
Obviously, it was a little different for us as well, but on the Bulldog Sports Network, we had a chance to call a number of events here over the course of the spring. It really started back on January the 1st with Bulldog Hockey, as we called it for the first time.
Yeah, it was great having a chance to call Bulldog Hockey, and that was one checked off of the bucket list, if you will. So that was a lot of fun to get out there, and we got pretty good reviews, and we had some big shoes to fill with Harrison. Does a great job with hockey, and of course we got a chance to do our traditional men's and women's basketball, which was fantastic as well.
And obviously, this past weekend, a big highlight, broadcasting the spring football game. We talked with Coach Anise here earlier, and just exciting to be back on the air and seeing the football team back in action.
I tell you what, I never thought being in that little booth would be so fun, but it was really great being back in there and looking down on the field and seeing football action taking place. And as I said on the radio with you, as exciting as it was for us, it was even more exciting, I'm sure, for the student athletes to have a chance to get out there and have that showcase event. I know it was very special for the fans who had a chance to attend.
I know this is our final show of the semester, and a semester quickly winding down here over the next couple weeks, but we still have some teams that will be in action and obviously still competing for chances at the NCAA postseason.
Yeah, there's some big competition coming up here. You had Coach Henson on the show today, and so he's got some big competition coming up. Of course, the tennis teams, they've had great things going on, golf as well. So there's still a lot to play for right now coming down the stretch. So, Bulldog fans, as a lot has already happened, there's still more that could happen. So stay tuned for some great action that could still be taking place.
I know, obviously, the fall a long way away, and a lot remains to be seen what will happen in terms of the action coming up next fall. But how excited are you maybe to be back a little closer to normal when football season kicks off on September 2nd?
Yeah, I don't totally want to wish away my summer. I'm looking forward to a little bit of summer, of course, but I can't wait for football to get going in the fall. It's going to be an exciting time, not only for you and I can't wait to get back calling some regular season football games. And those first few football games, especially, you get that night football game, it's just always an exciting time on campus. And hopefully we're back closer to normal, and our college students who are coming in, our returning students, can have that great full experience.
And finally here, hoping to have even more fans back as
Yes.
the fall approaches. Some great support from the Bulldog Nation over the course of the year, but we'd love to see some more people back in the stands here very soon.
We would. I think we got a little taste of it with the spring football game, and those fans were very excited about it. I talked to some fans when we were out at soccer on Sunday. They were excited to have a chance to be out there, and so I think you're going to see that excitement grow even more over the course of the summer, looking ahead to the fall.
Well, Sandy, thanks for being with us as always, and I look forward to talking to you again here soon.
Absolutely. Always a pleasure.
That'll do it for Ferris Sports Update and the 2020-2021 athletic season. Thanks for tuning in all year long, and a reminder you can follow all the action online at ferrisstatebulldogs.com.